So we are finalizing our take on digital transformation in industry. So we've been talking a lot about data. We've been talking a lot about the problems of homogenizing the access of applications to very diversified industrial structure of machines, robots, logistic processes, and equipment. So there is certainly a lot of issues. But one of these issues is obviously a security or the aspects of risks. And this has been very heavily upheld by the presenters. They said, well, it has to operate. We have to deliver the packages on time. We cannot be an operator which fails our customer. We need to have our plant going on. We cannot risk any kind of health-related hazards or business-related hazards, and this is why we are so much cautious about how we approach the opening of our data. And this is certainly an important aspect, but I think nobody knows how much important and what is the myth and what is the truth in the area of cybersecurity, both on national level, on a society level, and also on a factory level. Then our next guest, General Rami Efrati. Please welcome to the stage. It's our honor to have you here. I think this microphone should be working. Okay, so let's have a seat. I will just. Okay, the clicker is here. I won't need it anyway, I guess. Okay, so the fact is that Poland today is a country with almost 40 million people who had, these 30 years of transformation, economic transformation, and one of the reasons that we can sit here and talk is the fact that we are today a country that attempted many transformational efforts in many areas, governance, industry development, especially in service industries like financial business or telecommunication or purely digital. And this is all going very well, but there is still a lot of innovation needing to happen. And we are looking at places like Silicon Valley on one side, and when we look at the east, we see Israel, and we see a startup country, startup nation. And the first thing that really springs to my mind is how come? I mean, because there is a country which is not a very big geography. There is a country that has a serious homeland security issues. I mean, not because of the incompetence, but because of the place where it's located and the history. There is a country that has a strong military culture. Every citizen has this kind of experience in his life. He knows what are the extreme emotions, know how to act effectively under the pressure of risk. And it has a strong community, and also it has so much strong innovation culture. I mean, am I wrong, or somehow these things might be related?
Dzień dobry and shalom. How many of you have been to Israel? So I don't have to talk, I can leave the room. Because I believe for those of you who have been to Israel, you understand why most of us are entrepreneurs. The most important thing in Israel is that we take things very seriously. As Boris said, and thank you for inviting me, Boris.
Thank you for coming here.
Unfortunately, we have too many countries that do not like us so much, if I will say it in that way. And we need to survive. In order to survive, we have to be the best in the region, the best in our security. And therefore, all of us has to serve as a compulsory service in the national service in Israel. Both every man, every woman has to do it, which is very important. People, as a matter of fact, even if they are not allowed to go to the military since they are sick or something, they will do anything they can to do it. Why it is so important, and why most of the Israeli startups came out from the Israeli military, because of three main things that we are teaching in the military, and it's not a secret. First of all, and this is the most important thing, I think that we teach out-of-the-box thinking. We will not be able to survive if we will not just get technologies coming everywhere in the world. We need to do it ourselves. The second one is that we are teaching leadership. Those of you who are dealing with our entrepreneurs who are having their own startups, the most important thing, and the first question by any investor, who is your team? Who are your people? With whom are you working? Which usually is very easy for me. Because if somebody is coming to an interview, or I want to work with somebody else, and he makes the mistake and he tells me, Rami, I was in the Israeli Defense Forces in the intelligence. In 2 minutes, I can ask everything about him. I know whether he was just a genius that we have to lock him in a room and give him food only 3 times a day, or does he know how to work as a team person? But the most important thing, and unfortunately in Europe, I didn't find it that way like in Israel, we don't afraid to fail. Meaning, if we fail, and by the way, 95% of every startup usually fails. So if we fail, we don't cut our head. We go on. We do something else. The most important thing, we learn from what we have the lessons learned from what we have done, what were our mistakes. Usually they are the same mistakes, by the way, every time, but we are learning from what we have done. And therefore, suddenly, we started cyber dramatically in a very important way, meaning not only the cyber defense, but cyber as a business opportunity. We have today more than 450 companies dealing with cyber only in Israel. And by the way, why did I ask who have been to Israel? Because going to Israel is 4 hours. Going to the Silicon Valley is long time. And by the way, the weather in Israel today is much better than here. So you can all come. So one of the main national incubators we have in Israel is the military. And you will see, and you will find out that we have entrepreneurs, both men and women, many women entrepreneurs. Why? Because we encourage it. And the last thing, because we have only 20 minutes, is that the important thing is that the government finds out that it is its role to make Israel a leading country in cyber or in entrepreneurship. I do recommend, it's also in Polish language, to read the book Israel Startup Nation by Saul Singer. It's an amazing book. It speaks about our platforms. When I was in the
best marketing brochure, by the way.
I know. No, they just started a startup on that name, and they are doing much more money. So now I'm trying to write the second book, From Startup Nation to Cyber Nation. Great. And then we'll go to Blockchain Nation, and then we'll go to AI Nature, and then we are going to be, this is the latest, Quantum Physics Nation. You're all laughing, but we just got a government decision that we would like Israel to become one of the leading countries in AI and quantum physics, and we are going to do the same things that we have done already with cyber.
Well, thank you for that. We have different connotations when we are talking about, army and agility. There has been, this 40 years where army has basically, it was in a very uncomfortable situation here, as it was on one hand, it was subordinated to our long centuries enemy, and on the other hand, who had certain kind of pride because obviously because of the Polish nature, and the willingness to act really as also the homeland protection people. But it was never considered to be, this place where you actually deliver, for example, business orientation or this kind of responsibility for results that I think this is one of the major differences that when we are speaking about Israeli army and especially the public service in Israeli army, it really comes out with the intellect, with the intellectual discipline and with a sense of modern approach to how the war is being conducted or military conflict. It's on the front line supported by information infrastructure, isn't it so?
First of all, the Polish people can be very proud about what's going on in Israel because most of our are coming from a Polish background. So even myself,
Really?
I'm not going to say
Okay.
any jokes today about Polish women because everything is right. So I'm not going to say anything about it. This is in Israel very common. So since my wife is a Polish wife, I can say whatever I want. She's not here. That's because she's not here.
But we are streaming.
Don't worry. I'm not going back. Anyhow, there are, since we take everything seriously, and in cyber, for instance, we look at cyber attack exactly as it is a terrorism attack. I mean, we don't care whether it will be one of our electric facilities will be blown up by a kinetic attack, meaning a missile, or by cyber. For us, it is the same. But the most important thing, and I will just give you as a highlight our 5 pillars that really build the Israeli ecosystem. Because we took these pillars not only to the national level, but also to one of our city called Beersheba in the south, when we created the cyber capital city, which is amazing. You have to be there. You will still be able to see some camels, but most of us are not riding camels anymore. So what are the pillars? 5 pillars. First of all is defense. We spoke about it very quickly. Everybody has to service. And while you're in service, you very quickly identify the best people. You also identify who are not such a good one, and you make him become a very good one if he's working on a good team. We take the things very seriously. We have only 3 years. Hopefully they will stay more than that. And then people are leaving. Where do they live? They are living to 3 places. One of them, first of all, they become citizens. So they can be either we are doing reserve. Even in my age, I'm still doing reserve. We are going to the academia, or we are going to the industry. So the second pillar is the industry. Industry is very important because when you start to have your own startup, or you are going to work for a big company, and we have many like this, usually you are coming to a very sophisticated company that knows already your background. So starting in the military will give you the background that usually people are looking because you have done it at least for 3, 5, or 10 years. Also, we are going to the reserve. Now I'll give you a scenario. Let's imagine that I have a new startup in big data analysis, and I would like to talk to the general manager of Google Israel. So I'm trying my best. I'm going to the website. Then I find at last a phone number. I'm calling. His PA is usually answering, "Oh, Rami, what a nice day. He's very busy today. Don't call him. He will call you. He will never call me back." But unfortunately, maybe for him, the next day I will find him in my reserve. So he will be on the same place. I'm able to talk to him. And in many cases, and this is very typical, I believe, to Poland, but you didn't take it to this level, is that usually he was in your unit. Usually he was in another place that you know 2 other guys, and in 2 minutes you can talk to him. So it is easy. And everything is business, meaning Google would like to do business. So if they identify that you're the right man and you're the right entrepreneurship, you are going to do it. Third one is the academia. We have an excellent academia. You are lucky. You have an excellent academia as well. You just have to take it to the extent that it will become something that will make also business. So for instance, Israel is one of the leading countries in biotechnology in stem cells. Israel, in articles, we are the second in the world per capita after the USA with article about stem cells. When I started to work in the Israeli National Cyber Bureau, I found out that there is almost no research about cyber. Nobody was talking even about almost anything. I saw the first article about hacking a car only at, when was it, 2014? So in this case, we realized that we have to do things in the academia. For instance, Israel is teaching cyber as a master degree, not as a complementary course, a master degree on cyber for the last 10 years in Beersheba. And in Tel Aviv University, we are having now an interdisciplinary faculty, because, you know, cyber is not only computer science and electric engineering, it is also ethics and sociology and all the other things. So we supported, I mean the government supported the academia with a lot of money in order to start having research. Everything good starts with the academia. You cannot start without the academia. And the academia came with excellent research. And it became also, some of them became patents. And patents means money. The fourth one is the human capital. We have excellent people. When I usually come to Poland, and I was visiting, yesterday I was speaking in the, how do you call it, the war school university? The war study for university, and others. I met a lot of people who has the right degrees to do things. By the way, not only cyber. Cyber is a good business, but AI will be much better. And blockchain is already. So the human capital takes a very important role in order to support these activities. Not each one by itself, but all of them together. And the last one, it's also the role of the government. You need to have labs, national labs. For instance, if I have a company which is dealing with attacks, cyber attacks, I need to make a simulation or an emulation. If I want to have huge data with a relevant lab, I will not be able to do it. So now I'm in Poland and I'm speaking about it a lot, and I met some people also from the government. I believe that entrepreneurship in Poland could be exactly like in Israel. The case is not the same. Luckily, you are not attacked every day by a missile. Unluckily, you're attacked every minute by cyber, but almost nobody is admitting it. Because you don't have to admit that it happened. And if you don't admit, it means you don't have to pay. Why are we so successful? Because our government identified cyber as a threat, and we decided to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to make Israel one of the leading countries in cyber security. We realized that if somebody, only one, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, whoever, is going just to succeed one time, it will cost us 10 times than this investment. Still, in many places, usually when you don't have enough money or you have other priorities, you say, no. You'll be surprised what I'm going to say. It will never happen to us. As a matter of fact, it happened. It happened, but if the people are not admitting, you cannot do it. And I do believe that technology is going to take, or taking already, a very important role. Just like one more thing, AI. I know that you had yesterday spoke about AI.
Touching this just in a minute also, we will be talking about simulation. And
first of all, you have to know that if you have the right acronym, AR, VR, blockchain and other, you can get $2 million after 2 pages, and that's it. Yeah. That like in the bubble time. But this is going to be a big business. It is already. How can it be? I mean, there are so many, but how can it be that only the Chinese are leading today the world on quantum physics? That's why I believe that both in Poland, also we are doing it in other places and in Israel, you need to have a kind of, I call it cyber innovation center, but at least an innovation center that will support financially the young people who are going to create new companies, new startup companies. It's only a question of realizing. If the government realizes, like in Israel, we should take the risk and do it, it will be a success. In Israel, for instance, if you're coming out with a new disruptive technology, and you believe that you have something that, the invention of the new wheel, you are coming to the, we have an organization called the Israeli Innovation Authority, and you are saying to them, listen, I have a disruptive technology. So they say, okay, you are having it, he's having it, all, but they make a special auditing by special people to see whether this is really disruptive. If it is identified disruptive in about 3 to 6 months, you get an approval. Approval means that from now on to the next year, you will get 50% of your R&D budget from the government. You have, and what is a startup? It's all R&D, including the patents. So the government is, as a matter of fact, and they audit it once a year. So the government, as a matter of fact, take a very big risk, because 95%, they know it as well, fail. But I look at the good side of of life. They are looking at ways. They are going at looking at other companies that were sold for $7 billion, $1 billion, and they say, if at least 5 or 10% of these companies that we are investing will succeed once a year, we'll have a new checkpoint, a new CyberArk, a new Waze, and new others. And this is making the change. Because when you have the right people and you support them financially and in other ways as well, they will stay in Poland. They will stay in Israel, because otherwise, and this is a big issue not only in Poland, when you are working for a startup and people identify that you are one of the best, you got a phone call, usually by Google, but here we are, and they tell you, listen, what is your salary? We are going to triple your salary. So if it is still in Poland, okay. But if it is in another country, you lose the best people that you invested most of the money in their education. And we decided that it will not be that way in Israel.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, one last thing. I mean, you have been active also as a business entrepreneur in this cyber security related to digitized industry. What's your take on the maturity of the digital transformation in industrial in space, and which are the major risks here? We are talking a lot about data, about simulation, about building these digital twins. We have just had a session about that, but it comes with the openness of the data. I mean, what would be your advice to people who...
If you are speaking about privacy, which I'm not going to elaborate, which is a big issue, but was one of the biggest success in Europe. I mean, nobody believed that in Europe people will be able to connect so many countries and come out with this GDPR, which affects the world, by the way. If I have even one employee who is a European citizen, I have to look at this. But let's imagine that the AI world is not mature. It is going to be mature tomorrow. So I would like to support as many companies as possible to go for this thing, even if they will fail, because they will bring it, they will make it happen. We started with autonomous vehicles and with connected cars in Israel. Nobody believed that we are going to do it. And we did it. Why? Because we took the risk. Okay, so today it is not good enough. Tomorrow it will be good enough. One of the companies dealing with cybersecurity, Argos, was sold after 1 year or 1.5 years for $450 million. And we all expected that, okay, this is it. Nobody else will start to deal with cybersecurity for vehicles. And we found out that we have another 10 companies. Why? Because it's going on. So you have to believe in yourself and to get the government support. Hopefully I will still be able to leave the country. And if you're going to have it, and you're going to believe in yourself, and there are people here that believe in themselves, this is going to be your success. So the digital world is a promising one, both in our life, but also in our business.
Rami, thank you very much. Thank you for your reflections, and wish you all the best luck with your mission.
Thank you.
And we are hoping to have you here next year, maybe. Okay.
4 hours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.